Hi guys, Mrs. Gerhardt here. I wanted to take a minute and walk you through how to write CER conclusions. This is going to become a really important skill in science this and next year as a way for you to demonstrate your understanding of science content. All right, so for your gummy worm lab, the lab question was, how does temperature, the independent variable, affect flexibility, the dependent variable? And based on your data table, I want you to try to answer this question now. What's the relationship between temp and flexibility? Good. So what you should see is that as temperature increases, so does flexibility. But how do we know that? How can we prove that? Well, that's where these explanations come in. So one of the hallmarks of science, one of the things that makes science different from other ways of knowing, is that scientific explanations rely on evidence or data. And we call this empirical evidence. And empirical evidence can either come from direct observation or it can come from testing. In this case, your empirical evidence is coming from testing. You did this lab. You tested the flexibility of a gummy worm at 4 different temperatures. And because we rely on empirical evidence, it means that scientific explanations can be tested by other people as well as refuted. If they do the same lab you did and they don't get the same results, that means that you may have made a mistake. So CER stands for claim, evidence, reasoning. So when you are writing your claim, you are simply stating your answer to the lab problem or question. There's nothing else. You're just answering the question. Evidence, you are going to provide analyzed data to support your claim. You need to be really trying to show relationships among variables. How does your independent variable affect your dependent variable? That data may come from measurements, it may come from observations, or it may be known and accepted scientific facts. For example, water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. You only want to include relevant data, and you need to include enough data to help convince somebody that your claim is correct. The reasoning is where you actually explain why your evidence or data supports your claim. This is where you're proving your point. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of examples together. So this first example, she's going to come right out and tell you what her claim is and what her evidence is. I want you to follow that in this video. You may want to pause me, grab a piece of scratch paper and jot this down.
I have evidence that proves my dad's a space alien. He speaks a weird language. He drinks green stuff. He says he's from Albuquerque. I'm not buying it. I mean, just look at him. And one more thing, he has a spaceship. The evidence doesn't lie. My dad's an alien.
The highly advanced Audi A6, named to car and driver's 10 best.
All right, so the question is the little girl's dad an alien? So your claim, you are just simply writing a statement that responds to that question. Yes, the little girl's dad is an alien. No, the little girl's dad is not. Let's just go with yes. It's more fun that way. Okay, so the little girl's dad is an alien. That's my claim. My evidence, I need to provide data to support this claim. Okay, so what was her evidence? Because she came right out, her first words out of her mouth. I have evidence that prove my dad's a space alien. Okay, well, he speaks a weird language. He has a spaceship. He's from a place with a weird name, Albuquerque. He drinks green stuff, and he looks funny, especially when he's got his bike riding gear on. So that's my evidence. But what's her reasoning? Okay, how does this prove our point? And she doesn't actually do this in the commercial. So I've got to prove it now. The little girl's dad is an alien. Aliens drink green stuff and they speak a weird language. They have spaceships to travel in and they look funny. They come from places that have weird names. Well, the little girl's dad drinks green stuff. He has a spaceship of his own, and he looks weird. Her dad speaks a weird language, and he comes from a place with a funny name. Therefore, her dad is a space alien. So here's what it looks like in paragraph form. The colors are slightly messed up here. The evidence should be in blue, and the reasoning should be in pink. Okay, let's look at a second example. This time, I am going to ask you to develop the claim, evidence, and reasoning. So again, grab a piece of scratch paper, jot it down.
Honey, have you seen our cat? Nope.
All right, so the question, what happened to the cat? I want you to write your claim. So you're simply writing a statement that responds to this question. Now, what's your evidence? I want you to supply data to support your claim. So pause me and write out your list. What is your evidence to support your claim? Good. Now that you've written your evidence, what's your reasoning? In other words, how does your data prove your point? So pause me again and write out your reasoning. How does your evidence prove your claim? All right, let's take a look at a third example. This time it's a little bit more scientific. So our question is, how does the length of a pendulum affect how long it takes to swing back and forth 10 times? So I want you to imagine a tennis ball and it's attached to a piece of rope. And we can either make this rope longer or we can make it shorter, but we're counting how long it takes to swing back and forth 10 times. So my claim, I'm going to write a statement that responds to this question. And I am going to say that as the length of the pendulum increases, my independent variable, the time it takes to swing back and forth will also increase, where time is my dependent variable. Evidence. I need to supply data to support my claim. Well, in this case, the best way to do it is through an experiment. So here's an experiment with some data. Now, in my CER, I can't just say, look at the evidence in the data table. No. You have to prove that you understand what that data is showing and to illustrate the relationship among your independent and dependent variables. So for that, I might say, as seen in the class data table, as the length of the pendulum increased from 50 to 60 to 70 to 80 centimeters, the time it takes to make 10 swings increases from 14, it should be to 15 and a half, to 16.9 to 18 seconds. All right, what's my reasoning? How do I prove that this evidence I've just given you supports my claim and it makes my claim right? Well, all of these values show an increase in time as the length of the pendulum increases. Therefore, as the length of the pendulum goes up, so does the time that it takes to swing back and forth 10 times. There it is in paragraph format. Okay, so you are going to use the CER strategy now to write a conclusion for the gummy worm lab. Remember, the question is, what is the relationship between temperature, your independent variable, and flexibility, your dependent variable? So once you've written your explanation, I want you to highlight or very lightly color with colored pencil your claim in yellow, your evidence in blue, and your reasoning in pink. And obviously you are not turning it into a basket in the classroom. You are going to follow the next set of instructions on your Google Slides to turn it into Canvas. Have a great day, guys. Bye.